Hello, everybody. It's Sonia McDonald here, and welcome to Leadership with Sonia, where I will be talking to incredible leaders from across the globe around everything leadership, kindness, courage, impact, how we're making a difference, how we can, as a community, really create and build the next generation of leaders and also be role models for everyone around the globe. And I have the honour of speaking to one of our finalists in the Outstanding Leadership Awards today, and also the founder and managing director of Good 360 Australia, Alison. Covington, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me today.
It's lovely to connect with you today. So tell me a little bit about Good 360.
So Good 360 is a simple concept. So what we do is we get businesses brand new excess goods and we match them to charities and disadvantaged schools all around the country. So they're businesses like Harvey Norman, Nike, Colgate, IKEA, Lego, all the businesses that might not have sold through their goods or have spare or excess goods available for people who are in need. And as we know at the moment, there's more people in need around Australia than ever before. And these businesses are so generous that they donate these goods so that we can give them to people who need them at no cost to them. And it's just a fabulous way to be able to help people who are just finding it a little bit challenging at the moment.
Yes, I think, definitely there are a lot of people finding it really challenging at the moment. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I would love to know what you founded this organization. What was kind of the catalyst for you to like Good 360? Where did it come from? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I read about Good 360 operating in the US. I read about that back in 2012. And when I read that they had been working with businesses since 1983, and when I read it in 2012, I wondered why Good 360 didn't exist in Australia or a concept like that. Businesses or charities had been working together to work with food waste, but nobody had offered that service for businesses who had all those other beautiful brand new goods, whether that was clothing or toys or furniture. And I thought, well, what was happening to those brand new goods since 1983? Why was Australia not matching up those goods? Why were we so good at doing food, but we hadn't come up with a solution for all those other items? And importantly, why was people not having access to these brand new items? And that was the bit that I just couldn't understand. And so when I read about it in 2012, I just couldn't unknow it. And I kept coming back to, if since 1983, other parts of the world were connecting these goods, and in Australia we weren't, how many people were left with their needs unmet? And also businesses, how were their needs not being matched for those goods? Where were they going? And I just couldn't unknow it. And it was really frustrating for me. So I just kept thinking about it, talking about it, annoying everybody that I could about it. And then I just went, well, if I don't do something about it, then who will? What's going to happen? And it'll be more decades that will go on and still we won't have a solution. So I had to give up what I was doing and then start with 360. And so it just been the catalyst of, one person has to start something and then other people will join. And now we've got, over 500 businesses working with us. We've donated 40 million items since then. So it just proves that if you're crazy enough to start something, lots of generous businesses will come along. And, we've got 4,000 charities benefiting from the good work that we do. And we've helped over 1 million Australians. So it just takes somebody who won't stop thinking about it to do something about it. And then, people can join and be part of something that is just so wonderful.
That's incredible courage for you. So what were you doing before you started Good 360?
I was actually the managing director of a transport company. So quite different. I didn't work in the charity sector. I wasn't very charitable in talking about transport. But I had some good skills in terms of understanding logistics of how to get people across the country.
Yes.
I get boxes and goods all around the world, all around the country. And, I knew about technology and, sales and marketing and lots of other skills that you need to do. But also, I had those leadership skills. I'd worked with big workforces resources. And I suppose I also come from a background with my parents who cared about the community. I was always raised to, care about community. And I think, those things are embedded in you if you come from a family where doing good is one of the, values that you have in your family. So the way I describe it to people is that, I'd had the opportunity to go off and have my corporate career, and now I get to use those skills for good. And it feels a lot better than what I was doing previously.
It sounds amazing what you're doing, and also to have you as a finalist on our leadership awards, which is all about kindness and courage. So you have it in spades, and you've just spoken about, obviously, I'm sure you didn't expect your journey to be where it is today, but it sounds like you are absolutely in the right spot and you're able to use the skills in your career. And being an MD of a transport company prior to this is perfect. But what is leadership? Like, when you think about how important leadership was in your career and now even today, what does leadership mean to you?
I think leadership is one of those things is having a good team and enabling them to do good. So it's leading with values and purpose. And obviously at Good 360, we're all about purpose. But it's rallying everybody to be their best self. And I think that's one of the really important things is if you have a very clear purpose, it's then being able to get everybody else to be on purpose, and believe in themselves as well. So, and I think the leader has to, obviously have that clear vision, and the purpose for that, but then bringing everybody else on that journey and helping them to believe, or hoping that they share that purpose, and then believe in themselves that they're capable of doing all of those things as well. And I think that's the joy that we have at Good 360 is that, there's obviously always a lot of work to do, but we have a very clear, defined purpose. And then as the leader, I help them, be part of that purpose, and work towards that. And it's a joy to see the team actually achieve that purpose.
Yeah, when you have that purpose-driven culture and organization, it makes such a difference, staying true to purpose, and that helps with courage as well. Uh, I've got so many stories I could tell about challenges and courageous times where we just stayed very focused on our purpose. And, throughout your career, or even now, I mean, what's been some of your, can you think about any of those challenges or adversities or stories that you'd love to share with people listening and watching today that could help them overcome adversity or challenges? What have been some of your challenges?
I think in the time that, Good 360 has been, we're almost 10 years old now. Australia has faced a lot of challenges and a lot of adversity. So when we started Good 360, I thought we were helping people in need. And then we looked and, we faced a very substantial drought in Australia. And then, we had to react to help people who were, really facing some challenging times out in the country. And then next thing came a bushfire. And, the team were on holidays and we had to rush back from holidays at Christmas time to help with, a worse bushfire than we could ever have imagined. And then next thing we went into floods and it was just like, so as an
Wow.
organisation, we're a very small organisation, a very young organisation. So just continuously having to pivot and just look at who we were as an organisation to help the many when we were very few. And we were constantly having to learn and go, well, what else can come? But Australia had all these new challenges come at them. So we thought, we're here to help the vulnerable, then the drought, then the bushfire, then the floods. And we're having to keep going out to our partners and saying, look, times are different, but can you help us help the many who have been affected by this? And then something come that we could never have possibly imagined, which was a global pandemic. And like all organisations and people across Australia, we had to learn very quickly how do we do this global pandemic, because we had to work differently. We had to work remotely. We had to still help all the organisations out there who were helping their clients and helping more vulnerable Australians than ever before. But we were also needing to have to try and shut down. But everybody needed Good 360 to distribute goods out across the country. But, in a workforce where you weren't supposed to be operating, but the need was larger than ever before. So we were then saying, well, how do we do that? And so we're having to call on the police and the military to say, can you help me in our warehouse? So we were doing all sorts of things that would never been done before. And it sort of took new leadership, new courage from our team to say, how can we do this while we're working remotely? We have to do things that we've never done before. But we couldn't say no because we had Australians who needed our help more. And we had to go to our partners and say, can you help us? We had to go to funders. We had to go to government. And, we were in Western Sydney, which is one of the harshest lockdown areas of Australia, and definitely in Sydney, and saying that, our community needed us more than ever. When, we were mandating that people had to wear face masks, but our people in Western Sydney couldn't afford to wear face masks. They were big families. They didn't have the luxury of being able to afford those. So, and hand sanitizer, these are all costs that people couldn't afford. So we were having to try and distribute into communities where they couldn't afford these things. So as an organisation, we were constantly pivoting. And then, we're now in a cost of living crisis, that there's Australians who are the ones who would fund these disasters are now saying that, their mortgage have come off a fixed interest rate and now they're having to pay 3 times as much for their mortgage, or they've got rent increases, or electricity, or fuel prices, or grocery prices. And these are all our everyday Australians who are working now 2 jobs, or mum normally stayed at home, or now she's gone back to work. And so, our everyday Australian is now doing it tough. So Good 360 as an organisation has constantly changed. The leadership style has changed to say, how do we support our own team who also are doing it tough because they're the everyday Australian, but they're having to dig deeper every day to say, well, there's more Australians out there who need our help. How do I keep helping the people when I'm also struggling at work myself, because my family's doing it tough too? So there's constant challenges being a leader, but then saying, because of our purpose, we're here to help people in need and also reduce waste. Sometimes it's a good diversion from all the other stress going on around in the world, that we feel that we do good. It actually gives us some light relief to go, I feel very humbled that I can go and hear the story of how we've helped another Australian. And that sometimes helps our own mental health to be able to do good. So it's an interesting role at Good 360 that, there's constant challenges coming at us as a leader, but also as a team. But we do our best every day. And it's just an interesting job that we have, but we feel quite fulfilled to do it.
Wow. I'm hearing a lot there around the 2 things that I always focus on as community and courage. So it sounds like you really came together over the last decade, especially the community, around supporting you and helping you. I mean, for anyone that is listening or watching, what can we do to support you even more? I mean, we are doing it tough, but the thing is, what can we do to help you? It's what small things would you like any of us to be able to serve you and help you in terms of your great purpose?
So I think, Good 360, we're about helping people and planet. So, I mean, obviously all charities at the moment are finding it tough in terms of volunteers because everybody's had to go back to work. There's not enough volunteers for
Yeah.
the whole charitable sector. So, we encourage anyone, wherever you are, if you have time to volunteer for your local charity, please do that. And fundraising dollars have become tough for all charities. With Good 360, a $5 donation to Good 360 will improve the life of an Australian. So, we really do encourage you to either donate to Good 360 or to one of your charities if you have the opportunity to do that. So I think we underestimate how much the charity sector does need support, but we also, the whole sector understands that people are doing it tough. So, if there's a corporate partner or the government listening, we encourage you to think that, the charity sector is really supporting Australia. So have a think about how you can continue to support the sector, and be kind. I think, this is one of our values is kindness, along with innovation and collaboration and integrity. Charities are doing it really hard in terms of we keep backing up, as you heard, and with their, most charities, they're almost 24/7 and expected to keep doing that. So be kind, and sometimes there can be some harsher comments expecting charities to be able to do everything. So think before, you expect charities to be there for all the time, because we are, an organisation or, an industry that really does care about the community. So be kind when you're asking charities to do work out there in the community.
Yeah, kindness is everything. It's great to know those are your values. Kindness is one of ours as well. Imagine if we had more kindness. So yeah, I think and volunteering is just such an amazing thing to be able to contribute back and make a difference. So if you are watching and listening, please think about that. And I mean, it sounds like to me that you're making a difference to so many people. You and you're the great people that work with 360. I'd love to know people in terms that have helped you along the way. Have you had any of those great leaders or role models that you think about today that have made a difference to you in your life?
Yeah, I think I always come back to, my parents. I think, as I said before, it's, if you had the opportunity to come from a family who had those values of
Mm,
kindness, and community, I think, that's embedded into you I was very fortunate to have that embedded to me as a child, that seeing them do good in their communities, just it was just with me, like, whether I knew it or not, and I hope that, for my children, whether they know it or not now, that they'll just realize that we can always, as role models, help somebody else, whether it is with
mm,
time or, money or just with kindness. Sometimes just saying a nice word to somebody, you just never know what people are going through, and I think I didn't know it at the time with my parents, but just seeing them and mirroring that is just so important. That mirroring of good behavior does affect you going further in your adult life or just in your relationships. And, I often hear that and see that in with other people, that when they haven't had those good role models, it does really affect people's lives going forward. So I feel so blessed that I had such good role models with my parents. And I don't think I realized that at the time. And we're never really grateful for what we have, until later. And then also seeing it with, how perhaps when other people didn't have that, how that has affected their
mm.
lives or their relationships. So I hope that I can, be that role model for my own children. And I feel that, I'll never be as good a parent as what I had. But I do hope that my children, see the benefit of what I'm doing to help other, people in the community now. And I hope they get that same ripple effect, because I know when my parents were doing all their community work, I used to wonder, oh, why do they do that? But now,
Yeah,
I'm doing it as well. It's sort of, it seems ironic, really.
it is. It's wonderful though to see that and to hear that, because being a parent is the most important leadership role. It's the most critical and pivotal leadership role. And are your children now today, are they helping or doing any kind of work with Good 360, or are they doing their own kind of charity or volunteering?
I think my children have never had a choice. So they've always been they've always been the slave labor of Good 360.
Yep.
So and I think, children of, many businesses or people who have small businesses or charities as such, they just grow up within your businesses as such, so they've never known any differently. And their friends have come along as well and helped out within our charity, which has been wonderful. So that, 10 years they've grown. My children are now 18 and 21, so they've grown up within
Wow.
our charity.
Yeah.
So they've never known any different, but, to be part of our charity. But yeah, so I think that's just wonderful. But we have opportunities at our warehouse to come and pack goods and things like that. So they've always been part of that. But whether they think that's charitable work or slave labor, we'll probably have to, ask their opinion of that. So
Yeah, I'm sure they see it as charitable. I mean, I have a 22-year-old daughter that's grown up with me and the whole leadership HQ and the awards for the last 17 years. And you'll meet her at the awards next week. She's so all over this leadership space, because I used to take her to so many different events and things. And now listening to her talk about and think about leadership today, it definitely rubs off on them.
it does.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if they appreciate it at the time, but then when they reflect and realize the skills that they've learnt along the way, and that's why I said I
yeah.
don't think I realized it till later, and I don't think they're realizing it at the time now, but it provides fantastic skills for their future careers, et cetera. But when mum's dragging them to work, I don't know if they're appreciating it at the time.
I know. I bet you they are. I bet you they are. It might take a few more years yet. I don't know. It does. It actually. I think it's part of shaping their character as well. I think if more young people could be doing things like this, I think it would make such a difference to the world. And when you think about leadership, I mean, thinking about leadership today, I mean, obviously kindness is so, and integrity and courage is so important when it comes to great leadership. What else do you think contributes to making a great leader?
I think it's just encouraging people to believe in themselves. I often talk about this self belief, and I think perhaps more in women that they just really
Mm,
don't understand and dig into their own self belief. So I'm really strong in trying to get our team and especially our women to really understand their capabilities and to believe in themselves and really just try and take those leaps into leadership, but just to understand that they're capable of anyone and why do they think somebody else is more capable than them. And so, I spend a lot of time trying to mentor them to go, well, why would somebody else be more capable than you? Why do you think that they're more able to do that role than you? Why can they be more successful? And just get them to spend a little bit of time getting out of their own heads. Like, I think sometimes people spend a little bit too much time in their own heads, talking themselves down and out of opportunities. And I just think, well, and I talk about it all the time that, nobody was more uniquely qualified than us to start Good 360. It was just like no one did it, so we did it. So, if we'd have waited for somebody else to believe they could do it more, it was never going to get started. And I think it just takes people just to have a go and stop talking yourself out of things. So it's this limiting self-belief that a lot
yeah.
of people have. And so I think leaders have to really encourage people and have this, no fear of failure type of policy. Because, if it goes wrong, well, we can fix it and we can have another go. And it's just, I think there's too much of that, of people not willing to risk it and go for it. Because, ultimately, if you don't try it, what have you got to lose type of stuff. So I think that's what we've got to build more into the culture of businesses and people. Um, yeah, because I think there's a little bit of too much comparing themselves or waiting and seeing and it's like, well, what if I had waited to see if somebody else had done it? Would still be 40 million items not in the hands of somebody? Um, if I gave it a go and it didn't work, well, what did we have to lose?
I love that. It's that grittiness, that grit, having that passion and perseverance and also thinking about, for me, I always go legacy, like what sort of legacy or life. And yeah, I definitely see it, particularly in women that, they're kind of stepping back. They're not
Mm,
kind of, oh, I don't tick 10 out of the 10 boxes. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if
yeah,
you tick 6 out of the 10, you're going to learn something.
yeah.
And that comparison thing, oh, it does. It really, that's why, yeah. Anyway, I could go down a rabbit hole when it comes to, just staying, like, believing in yourself, like really believing in yourself. And we all have those times where we're having that imposter syndrome or that little, niggling voice, like, what happens if I fail? Thing is, it's, you've got to
But
try, like,
what
yeah,
happens if you succeed?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I always say, like, "What have you got to lose? What happens if you succeed?" So get out of your own
Absolutely.
head. And it's like, what do you got to lose? It's just give it a go. It's like you could sit here and overanalyze, and this is I think people sit there and overanalyze for so long that you could have actually got up and got it done. And that's what I think, get out of your own head, get out of your own way and just get it done. Stop talking, and the whole thing is like, stop talking about it, let's just go get it done. Because if I just sat there and just kept writing a business plan and kept thinking about starting with 360, we
Yeah.
could have been waiting how many ever years to get it right. So let's not have perfect in the way of getting on with the job. So, and
Love
that's what I
that.
keep saying to people. It's like, let's just do it. We'll perfect it as we go along.
And it is about just doing it and just going, you know what, you will learn along the way, and that's where you get your greatest learnings, by the unexpected or from the mistakes or those stuff ups and things. Uh, I mean, how do you sharpen your sword? Like, for you to be your best self and also to navigate some of these kind of challenging times, which you've absolutely faced in the last decade. So you've been sailing the Good 360 ship, and it hasn't, like, I'm sure it's been like up and down, like, like trying to ride the waves, right? But how do you make sure that you are being the best version of you?
Uh, I don't know if I have the perfect answer for that. So it is there's plenty of times that I'll say I have been rocking in a corner, so I won't admit that, perfection has been there the whole way. But I think I'm a pretty resilient person. So I think, through life I've had lots of ups and downs. So Good 360, going through the ups and downs is not new to me. So I think if you've been a person who has had to be resilient, I think that helps. And I probably, I can laugh. I'm not one that can't take a hit and get back up. So I think, you have to learn to be that type of person, have that type of resilience, especially in the type of work that we do. So we definitely recruit for people who are resilient, and can take hits, basically, so that, you can take that. And that's who I am as a leader. As you said, I don't get upset by things. I just go, okay, let's get back up and, rock in a corner for a moment, then we'll get back up and have another go. So that's just who I am by nature. And I think that's, maybe that's a leadership style, that actually works well for me, because that's the type of person I am, and that's helps as a leader, to be able to navigate these sorts of times. So I'm quite easygoing in that way, and quite determined and quite resilient. And then I suppose because work is busy, sort of Monday to Friday-ish, on the weekends, what I describe as I don't like to people a lot. So I don't spend a time around people. I have my quiet space so that then I can have that resilience sort of Monday to Friday. So, I have my time alone with, my family or my closest friends, and have, go to the beach and do that sort of. I don't need as much headspace for the amount of time that I'm going to need to be resilient during my working week, if that makes sense. So I give myself the downtime I need, in my off time, so that I can really, be fully on during my on time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I like to get near the water and things like that, and just be really quite calm and things like that. So it's like I'm really on, and then I'm like chilled.
I love that. So you have like a PA weekend.
Yeah, yeah, and like, people think
Like a
that,
PA.
'cause I'm
Yeah.
not very extroverted, so I need my non-peopling time,
Oh, wow.
um,
Yeah.
on after, like, if I have to people a lot during the week, which is part of my role, then I don't people for a few days.
I totally understand that. I love that. I love that terminology. Yeah, I think it's important that you understand that you're around your energy buckets.
Yes.
And I'm an extrovert.
Mm.
However, on weekends, people say to me, "Oh my gosh, you must be like out there, lunching and meeting lots of people." And I'm like, no, the exact opposite.
Yeah,
I actually, weekends, I don't want to make plans with people. As
yeah.
in, I love everybody. I love my friends and family, but I just love to kind of regroup and re-energize. And it's really important that you have that well-being and self-care. And yeah, the water, being by the water. So it's great to hear that. But I do love that. I'm going to steal that, people a lot. I think that's a great
So
term.
when I'm like, say, "Oh, sorry, I'm busy," it means like, "No, I'm not busy. I'm actually just staying away from people. I'm on the balcony by myself."
But that's good. Like, it's, yeah, and it actually, no is a great word. When I was younger, I didn't like upsetting people, and a bit of a people pleaser, and it was like saying, and now that I say no a lot more, it's really empowering. No, I don't have time for that, or no, I'm going to be focusing on self-care. This, like, no is a great word. Obviously, saying yes is a great word as well. So I think obviously saying yes to opportunities, but when you know that you have to take care of yourself, it's good to say, look, no, it's okay. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, so it's just
So,
building your energy back up for a very high energy role is
yeah.
how you do it. It's just re-energizing.
And also, as well, Alison, I'm sure you're giving so much to everybody. I think you do need that giving self, like giving self-kindness, self-compassion, self-care, especially when you're in an organization like yours, which is so focused on others. It is really, really important that you do serve yourself and give to yourself.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? So where is Good 360 going? What is kind of on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so we grow a lot every year. So we're probably about 100% growth in terms of, how many people we need to serve, how many Australians we serve each week, how much growth we need to do in terms of that. So it's just a constant growth. And I think, as I described, between the droughts, the fires, the floods, we never know what's coming at us each year. So I think, we've got to get through this cost of living crisis because we're helping so many more Australians. And so it is really just reaching out to more partners. So the team's just working on our strategy to say, how many more businesses can work with Good 360. I think we're the charity that does the most work that most people never heard of. So it's really getting to have more people know Good 360 exists so that we can help more Australians who need us. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just growing the amplification of our voice so that more people know we exist to serve Australians in need. And that's it just happens more and more each year. Just getting bigger in that space to help more Australians.
And have you got any presence in other states? As in,
So
do you have teams in other states? So for instance, if I'm in Queensland, if I wanted, the team and I or my network would love to support you, we'd be able to go to your website and find out where you're located and how we could support.
So we've got a warehouse in Sydney, but we've got staff members in Queensland and South Australia, and we're looking to grow nationally. So we're thinking about that strategy. But we have charities in every state across the country where we
Right.
serve. So we've got 4,000 charities across the state or across the country, but we don't have a physical presence in every state at this moment. But we serve charities in every state across the country, so they receive the goods everywhere across
Yeah.
Australia. But for you to physically come to a Good 360 office, we don't have that at the moment, but we do service people across all of Australia.
Unreal. Okay. Well, I'll definitely, and the team and I will definitely have a look at the charities you serve and see what we can do to support you. Because this cost of living crisis is, it's, I don't even know how to tackle this one. I just wish that, what can we do?
Yeah.
And it's just, I suppose, we need hope. We need
Mm.
to be supporting each other, giving to each other so much more. I think that's really important that we keep doing that, and it's just amazing the work you're doing. I'm just in awe of your leadership and
Thank
the
you.
work you do.
And I think it's just raising the awareness. Come to our website, have a read of the different programs we do. We work in digital divide. We provide data and computers to people who are excluded. Like 1 in 4 Australians don't have access to a device, which I find,
Really?
incredible that in a society like ours, which, today we're doing so much work, just, assuming people have access to a device and data, but so many people don't. So we work in that area. We work in hygiene, poverty. We work in education, around home and play. So there's so many programs that we work in so that, we can support the charities who are doing great work on the ground. So all the categories of products that we work in are the areas that people are incredibly passionate about. So I just invite people to come to our website, have a good read of the work we do. You'll be amazed at the areas that we support people in across
Wow.
Australia. I think you'd be more amazed that in a country like ours, that people need the support like this. That's what's, why I started Good 360, is just going, I can't believe that there's so much need here. There's just the assumption that all of us have access to what we need. But we don't, and that's why I just want to get these beautiful products into the hands of people that need
Mm.
them, so that they can go on and thrive in life and not just survive. And I think that's the thing that I'm most passionate about, is that we can change that when we all just collaborate and work together.
I love that. Thrive. We need to be helping so much more. We need to be helping and helping others thrive. So you've actually made my day, speaking with you, and just your leadership and the hope that you're giving so many Australians. I just want to say thank you so much. And I'll definitely be reposting our conversation today and sharing it with as many people as we can. to help you and your voice and your mission and your purpose. And if there's anything we can do to help or I can do to help, please reach out to me or the network or anyone that's listening or watching. I have put the website to Good 360 in the blurb for today. Please reach out to Alison, contact her team at Good 360. And is there anything you'd love to, before I could talk to you forever, but I've taken up so much of your time. Is there anything else that you'd love to say to anyone that's watching or listening today?
No, just thank you for your time. And just, I think, Australia is such a beautiful and lucky country. And it's just, for me, it's about, if we all just collaborate, again, I just come back to, how do we help people move forward from surviving to thriving? And just with kindness, I think, we just get so caught up in our own days. Just, what little act of kindness can you do to help somebody? It actually makes you feel so much better in your day. So perhaps just think about that in your day to day, what little act of kindness could you do for somebody?
It's contagious. And kindness is like a dopamine exchange. So what can you do to show kindness? Even the smallest acts of kindness can make a difference. So please be kind to Good 360 if you're watching or listening, and do what you can to support you. So to
Yeah.
support the great team. So thank you so much for being on Leadership with Sonia today. It was such an honor speaking with you. And I look forward to seeing how we can serve and help you in the future as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime. You take care. Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.